Very warm morning to all of you. How are you guys doing? I hope that this video finds you in best of your health. So, let's begin our today's class. Students, I will just request you to observe what is shown in this slide. Yes, try to think. Okay, I can see you all saying that this is a human cell. Okay, very good. This is a human cell. Right. This is a cell that is in the prison, isn't it? This cell is in the prison. You can see persons live inside this cell. Right. This is a cell of honeybee in which the honeybee prepares honey and stores. Right. So basically, what we can say is common in all these things. Yes, students, can you try to think what is common in all these things? Okay, I hear you all saying cell, right? So, cell is common in all these things. Very good, students, right? So, how can we define the cell, right? Cell is the smallest unit that can live on its own and that makes up all the living things and tissues of the body, right? So the cell is the smallest unit that can have its own existence, right? You will say that cell is made up of small organelles such as mitochondria, chloroplast, nucleus, but students, those are not capable of having their own existence, right? But we have seen organisms such as amoeba. You might have this type of organisms called amoeba that lives in marine water, isn't it? So it has a free existence. So we say that cell is the smallest unit that can live on its own. Okay, students? Right. You might have also seen about one thing called as the tissues, isn't it? There are multiple cells that acts as a group and together these group of cells, these are called as tissues, right? These group of cells are called as tissues. Very good, students. So students, you, me and everything else that is living, right, that is made up of the cell only, right? Okay, very good, students. Now there is one question for you. So you might have seen that there is a robot. Okay, you know the name of this robot? Yes. Okay, I see you saying GT. Okay, right. So one day, while listening the discussion about cell, he got excited and told that even he has the cell that makes up his battery pack. So do you think the cells of Chitti and your cells are similar? Do you think the cells that is present in this robot is similar to the cells that have you inside yourself? Okay, I see your answers coming as no. Okay, why? Because we are having a biological cell. Okay, students? Right. So, how do we define the cell? Who will tell me once more? Yes. So, we can define the cell as the unit of life. Right? The cell is the unit of life. Cell is the capable of having its own existence. Okay, and what does the cell makes? The group of cell makes up the tissues. Very good. Now students, here are some organisms shown in the slide. Can you see these organisms? Okay, there is a paramecium, there is an amoeba, there is a bacteria, there is a yeast. So is there anything common in all these images? Is there something which is common in everything, in every image? Yes. Okay. Who will tell me? Okay, it is also made up of one cell. It is also made up of one cell, right? This bacteria is also made up of one cell, and this yeast is also made up of one cell only, right? So we can say that these organisms are what? These organisms are, who will tell me? These organisms are unicellular. Okay, students, these organisms are unicellular. Very good, students. Now let's proceed to our slide. Okay, so students, these organisms are just the unicellular organisms, right? And one very interesting thing about them is that they are having just one cell, just one cell. Imagine how many cells you have. In your body, you might be having billions and trillions of cells. Isn't it, students? How many cells are there in your body, you know? No? Okay. We can just guess that in our body, we have billions and trillions of cells, right? But there are some organisms that have only one cell, right? And those animals are called as what? Those organisms are called as unicellular organisms. Okay? Students, now you tell me that what are some of the things that you do in your life that is required for your life? Who will tell me? Okay, right. We respire. Okay, we eat food. Okay, we, yes, students. Okay, we reproduce, right? So these essential features of life are also performed by the unicellular organisms, right, students? Like you see, this amoeba, it is capable of feeding also, right? This amoeba can eat, okay? This paramecium can eat. This euglena can eat, right? This will also respire. It will take in oxygen from the surrounding water and release carbon dioxide. Okay, students? So it can respire. It will reproduce also. So we say that the unicellular organisms are capable of all the functions of life. And what are those functions? Those functions are feeding, respiration. Yes, those functions are feeding, respiration, yes, students, and also reproduction. Okay, very good, students. Now let's proceed a little bit further. So, here is a question for you guys. So, you just need to tell me that amoeba is a which type of organism. I'll wait for 30 seconds. Okay, so amoeba is a unicellular organism. Okay, unicellular organism. Okay, so amoeba is a unicellular organism. Now there is one more question for you students. So this question states that unicellular organisms are capable of carrying out all the functions of life. So students, is this statement true or false? I'm giving you 30 seconds to think. Okay, students. So I can see you all saying that this statement is true. Unicellular organisms are capable of carrying out all the functions of life. So this statement, students, this statement is a true statement. Very good. Now let's proceed to our next part. Okay. So let's just do an activity. Okay. I'll just tell you to count how many cells are there inside your body. Okay. I'll just give you 30 seconds. You just need to think about how many cells are there inside your body. Okay, students? Okay. So your time starts now. Start thinking how many cells are there inside your body. Okay. How many cells? Yes, students. Okay. Two. Okay. Right? Zero, 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 zero. Okay, so I see that there is no stopping. You guys are just going on adding numbers, isn't it? So students, we can say, we can just estimate how many cells are there inside our body. Okay, we cannot count how many cells are there inside our body. There are far too many number of cells that to count. Okay, right? Okay, students, very good. So students, what does these cells make? I'm showing you here. You can see these organs. How many of you have brain? Okay, everyone? Right. Heart? Everyone? Okay. So I can say that all of you are having at least these organs. Brain, heart, stomach, kidneys, bladder, intestines, liver, lungs, thyroid, isn't it? These are different human organs. Okay. So, but the thing comes here that what are these organs made up of? Doesn't it come to your mind that why brain is different from the heart, why stomach is different from the kidneys, why bladders are different from the intestine, why liver are different from the intestine, why lungs are different from the thyroid? This type of questions should come in your mind because you are the student of science. Okay, student. So just tell me that what comes to your mind when you look at this picture. Yes? Okay, so I can see you all guys saying that these things, these organs are made up of many cells. Very good. And you know students how many type of cells are there in inside human? You will be amazed to find out that this is a nervous cell, okay? This is a neuron. This is the red blood cell. This is the white blood cell. This is the bone cell. This is the ovum cell. Okay, this is the cell in the lining of the intestine. So you can see there is a variety of cell inside the human body. Isn't it very fascinating, students? Yes, very good. So students, so in multicellular organism, there are millions of cells, okay? In multicellular organisms, there are millions of cells and most of these cells are specialized to carry out specific function. For example, this neuron cell, it is specialized just to carry the nervous impulse, right? It will suppose that here is your hand and here is your brain. So this nervous cell will what it will do? It will just communicate between the receptor and the brain. Okay, it will just tell you when you touch the hot thing, right? It will tell your brain that okay, you need to remove your hand because you are touching a hot thing, right? So this is communicated by the nervous cells or the we can say neurons, right? This is the red blood cell. The red blood cell is necessary to carry out oxygen. Okay, it carries oxygen to all parts of our body, right? WBC provides us protection. This lining of the intestine, it helps us to absorb the food. Okay, bone cells make up the bone that makes us stand that gives us a structure, students. Okay, so all in all, now you understand that in multicellular organism there is, first of all, first thing, a number of cells. Okay, there will be many cells, millions and billions of cells. Okay, and we can also say that those cells are specialized, and those cells are specialized to carry out a very specific function. Okay, like we saw the example of motor neuron, we saw the example of red blood cell, we saw the example of white blood cell, we saw the example of lining of the small intestine, we saw the example of bone cells. Okay, students, so now you have understood this thing. Yes, very good. Now again, there is one question for you. So now you tell me that amoeba is which type of organism? Okay, so it is a unicellular organism. Okay, right, and unicellular organisms are carrying out all the functions of life, so this statement is also true. But let's modify this question a little bit. Okay, in place of amoeba, right, in place of, just let me erase everything. Okay, so now let's answer these questions. Okay, so the cell is the smallest unit that can live on its own and that can make up all the living organisms and tissues of the body. Is this statement true or false? Who will tell me? Yes, I'll just give you 30 seconds. Just reflect upon the question number 1. Okay, students, just reflect upon question number 1, this question. I'll read it again for you. Cell is the smallest unit that can live on its own and that makes up all the living organisms and the tissues of the body. Is this definition true or false? Okay, so this definition is true. Very good. So let's come to our next question. Unicellular organisms are capable of all life processes. Is this statement true or false? I'll give you another 30 seconds. Okay, so this statement is also true. We saw the example of amoeba, we saw the example of euglena, we saw the example of paramecium. Those organisms were capable of doing the individual tasks, like they were capable of feeding, they were capable of reproduction, they were capable of respiration. So we can say that unicellular organisms are capable of all the life processes. Okay, now third question is a very easy question. You just need to tell me the names of any two unicellular organisms that you know. Okay, okay, I'll just give you 15 seconds to think about this question, not more than that. Okay, so your answers are amoeba, okay, euglena, okay, paramecium. Okay, very good. Now, students, you need to list any three multicellular organisms. Here you see the word multicellular organisms. I'll just give you 30 seconds to think about it. You can look around yourself also to find answer to this question. Okay. Okay. I see the responses coming as dogs. Okay. Humans. Okay. Cats. Very good. Lizards. Very good. So these are all multicellular organisms. Very good, students. So next question here is multicellular organisms are having specialized cellular function. Do you agree with this statement? Yes, students. I'll read the question again for you. Multicellular organisms are having specialized cellular functions. Do you agree with this statement? Yes. Okay. You need to give reason also. Okay, so this is a true statement, as we saw in our slides also, that in multicellular organisms, what happens? The cells begin to do specific functions, isn't it? The cells get differentiated into different types that do specific function. Like we saw the example of motor neuron, we saw the example of villi of the intestine, we saw the example of RBC, WBC, bone cells, ovum. So these are all the specialized cells that do specialized cellular functions. Okay, so this statement is a true statement. Okay, students? Right. Now, let's come to the interesting part of the class, the homework. So, this is your homework. What you need to do is prepare a chart showing different type of organisms and classify them as cellular or as unicellular or multicellular organisms. Okay, students? And after that, you need to visit the internet and prepare a comparative report of how unicellular organisms are different from the multicellular organisms. Right? This is the task for you. Right.